Hello and welcome to Shite Talk, an Irish history podcast. My name's Kevin Larney and Jason is snowed in Texas. They're getting some seasonable or unseasonable snow. I don't know what's normal for Texas. But it's just me for the intro this week anyway, which is grand. It's an easy one. It's all the usual stuff. If you'd like to follow us on social media, type Shite Talk History into Google and then just start clicking on things. Just follow all those links. Write us an email. We had a lovely email from Adam Handel during the week, who had a family connection to William Muldoon from the very first episode we put out, the John Sullivan one. He sent us in some really interesting pictures, which we're going to stick up on Instagram, which you can see at Shite Talk History on Instagram, I guess. If you want to send some money to myself and Jason to help pay for the production of this fine podcast, or just to help Jason buy winter gloves, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com. You can head over there and send in some money. If you want to turn your cash into merchandise, you can buy some t-shirts at Big Cartel. If you search Shite Talk History Big Cartel, or the link is in our Instagram bio. And if you want to go nuts and support the two of us, then you can hire us to go and do a coffee morning, a pint evening, some sort of Zoom social event, especially coming up to St. Patrick's Day. Imagine that, the two of us talking to all your colleagues about snakes. You'd be the office hero. Apart from that, I just wanted to give a shout out to my uncle Thomas in Canada, who's just gone through some surgery, so hopefully this finds you well, Tom. And that's everything. So here's this week's episode, Jason's season staple, cowboy but the yeehaw sort of cowboy frontier episode about Jim Leavy and Johnny Murphy.
Gather around now, you're in for a story. Old tales of lore, all in search of a glory. The history and mystery of lads, lasses and all. Discoveries and voyages, the rise and the fall. Follow me now as we go back in time. We trace the steps of Irish lineage to find. Jason from Carlo and Kevin the dog guide you through the ways of Shite.
Jim Leavy was born in Dublin to Jewish parents in 1842. Now, there's no proof of them being Jewish, but that's just, it's always referenced.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get Leavy, Levi.
It's Leavy with an A, though.
Where's the A? Leavy.
L-E, yeah.
As in Leavy me alone.
Like Leahy, but with a V instead of a H.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I know that Leavy is like a Jewish name. The guy who runs Tottenham Hotspur, or owns it or whatever, Daniel Leavy, like he spells it that way. But I think they just got it wrong.
The guys who invented the jeans, the Levi jeans, two Jewish brothers.
But that's with an I, though.
Yeah, well, you know how it is. You leave the boat from Ireland. Yeah, you start off with a Y, you end up in Ellis Island. They change it to an I. They're all related.
Leavy, no, we're calling you Lee. It's Lee jeans now. No more Levi's. There was later documents to prove that it'll become apparent later on. I think he was always referenced as like the Jewish cowboy, the Jewish guy. Like this, This is a story set in the West, and it's just the fact that he's not, and that's why he's famous,
right?
Or that's the moniker he went by, or
okay.
that people would remember him for. Like, I don't think it was true. Now it's possible.
Yeah. Well, what's your evidence for it not being true? That he was in Dublin in 1840?
One line on the internet that said there was documents that later proved that it wasn't true.
Oh, okay.
That's my proof.
That's all you need.
That's enough for me. I'm not some kind of Leavy denier. I'm not some kind of... I believe that Jewish people existed in Dublin.
Yeah.
I just don't think that there was many of them as what was reported in the history books.
Yeah,
Kevin.
yeah. You got to do your own research.
Yeah. It's... Jesus. But, so anyway, the Leavy family moves to America in 1856.
Right.
I saw one report say the family lived in Liverpool for a time, and from there they went to America. Now, I don't know if they lived in Liverpool or just stopped off there.
Yeah,
but
they lived there for an hour to an hour and a half while the ship got ready for the sail across the Atlantic.
Yeah, it was 1856, so they hadn't invented the term layover yet.
No, they just lived there for a while.
I lived there for an hour in between boat trips. It reminded me of the leaving of Liverpool, so I said I'd keep it in. Now, still in his teens, he would move out west for the gold/silver rush in California, then on to Nevada, and by 1871 he was living in Pioche, Nevada, which was founded only 3 years previously. A town for hard men, Kev.
Yes. A town for hardy boys.
Now, working in mines, shooting each other, growing mustaches, spitting tobacco on floors. That's I assume, what the town was like. It was a town full of miners and cowboys.
It's a big weekend in Carlo.
Yes, it's the foundry.
Yeah.
But no, it's the type of time period and type of area where you'd be, if you were a man like Leavy, you could walk into a local saloon, walk up to the counter, you could yell, "Hey wench," and drop an uneven shaped metal coin onto the counter and say, "I want a steak dinner and a bath and 4 of your best whores and a bottle of whiskey and a newspaper and a cheese platter and a charcuterie board and a copy of The Wild West for Dummies." And I tell you, Kev, you'd be expecting change.
You would. A charcuterie board and a cheese board.
Yes. Oh, he's gotten very fancy. It's the time.
Yeah.
Money didn't really. No one understood it at the time. It was, here's a piece of precious metals. Give me everything I want.
Yes. The economy is run by what we're pulling out of the ground somehow, so it really it stopped making sense a while ago.
Now, between the years of 1871 and the following 72, close to 60% of homicides in the state of Nevada were attributed to Pioche and the surrounding areas.
Right.
Which is, so it is very much so a town for hard men. They're gunslingers.
Yeah, that's good. That's good going.
A man by the name of Richard Moriarty, alias Morgan Courtney, another Irishman, lived there.
Morgan Courtney. That's a much worse name than Dick Moriarty.
Well, I just realised Moriarty could be Sherlock's nemesis. Wait, is Leavy Sherlock?
I thought that's where you're leading into.
It's not, no.
No. You got surprised there for a second, but you know how this story goes, presumably. You're like, Jesus, maybe he turns out to be Sherlock.
Yes, but for this season, I've taken a whole new tact of I wrote all of the episodes well in advance, and then I haven't researched them or looked back at them until right at live recording. Yeah. So it's new for both of us a lot of the time. And I research these drunk most of the time, so then it's really news to me.
But, you'll never believe this next bit. This is mad.
Sure, that can't be right at all. What? No.
Who wrote this?
Now, Moriarty, or Courtney, I'm going to call him Moriarty.
Yeah,
but
much better.
Oh,
and like at this time, what was having an alias was just like, I've walked into a new town. My name's Jim Broom. Look it up.
Well, yeah, you could still have an alias today. It's just called lying to people.
Oh, yeah, that's true, I suppose.
No, so he probably would have been the one to teach Leavy about guns and such, because he was famous for having come out the better side of 3 separate gunfights, Kevin, which is a lot of gunfights.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, that's 3 more gunfights than most fistfights anyone has been in.
Yeah, I'd say the odds, it's pretty much a 50-50 odds of surviving. So living through 3 of them, it's pretty good. Like, I'm assuming by gunfight you mean like a duel.
Not good probability statistics.
Well, did you mean just like a 1-on-1?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And like the chance.
But I don't think it's not a 50-50 chance. Like, skill will come into it.
I don't think so.
It's not just, there's one of me and one of him. We both have guns, so therefore 50-50 chance.
I think that is how it works, because like your gun could blow up in your hand. I've watched several Western films.
For sure, the person who's fired more guns and has been practicing is probably going to have a higher probability of killing the other guy. So he was actually murdered in one of these common shooting type deals a few years after Leavy had left. That's how you settled scores back then. You disrespected me, let's go fight. Let's not use our hands. Guns. So there's a marker in the town that so he's gone from the story now.
Yeah, luckily he taught everything he knew about gunfighting to Leavy before he was shot dead.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like that's what else can you say? Like, point the gun at him, be calm, fire, hope to Christ you don't get shot.
Hope for the best.
Yeah. No, he's gone from the story. Obviously, he's dead, and he's Leavy will have travelled as well. So, but I mainly kept him in the story because there's still a marker in the town for him now. Which, if we've any people in that local area, that locale, can you take a photo and send it to us? Because it's his marker or gravestone reads, "Feared by some, respected by few, destroyed by others, shot in the back 5 times from ambush. That's I want that if as my gravestone. Feared by some, respected by few, destroyed by others.
Shot from a bush.
Yes, there was a bunch of people that jumped out from behind a bush when he wasn't expecting it. Shot him dead. Now, at the same time Jim was arriving in town, so was a fella by the name of Michael Casey and 3 of his friends. They offered their services to protect the mines owned by William H. Raymond and John Ely. Looks like they lost their land because there were a bunch of armed squatters on it. So Casey and the lads said they'd drive them off, but wanted a 30-day lease on the mine themselves.
Right. Armed squatters. That's a new twist on squatters. I think that's just like, that's a invading force at that stage.
Yeah. Well, if they were squatters first and then got the guns
and then
afterwards,
got the guns,
and you're allowed to have guns.
You're right.
Yeah.
Am I to take it that Michael Casey is an Irish man as well?
A big dirty Mick.
A big
I'd
dirty
say.
Paddy.
There's no reference to his genealogy at any point, so I reckon
there was just described as being a sort of pink, potato-headed man with an odd swagger.
Drunken lout.
Yeah, seen walking through the towns in brown shoes and bootcut jeans and a Mayo jersey. It's unsure as to where he came from, but we can only speculate.
I'm going to guess that he's Irish American, because otherwise, it's always referenced where you come from. Like, we know Leavy's from Dublin. We'd know where Casey was from.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, if someone in history would have found it.
Right.
But so Casey and his 3 friends then go get a $60,000 loan. I assume to pay off. That's what I didn't understand. I was like, they're going to drive these lads off and then pay the rent as well. You think they'd get the month for free, but sure.
Yeah.
Anyway,
$60,000. Jeez, that's crazy money.
It is, but it's also, it's Nevada during it's the gold and silver rush. So
yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. So the story goes that when they go to get the $60,000 loan, a lad called Tom Gosson walks in and tells Casey that he still owes him £100 from a previous dealing.
Yeah.
Casey, happy enough to pay it now. Sure, he's going to be rich, so he doesn't really mind too much. Here's $100 grand. But now Gosson has the cheek, Kev, to ask for interest.
Oh, Gosson.
Now, I don't know how much it would be, but it's enough to get Casey angry enough to tell him, "Yup to feck, not a chance. If you're going to be a prick about it, come outside and I'll fix your wagon."
Yeah.
So Gosson, not in need in any repairs of his cart, instead agreed to a duel, which he lost and died, but not before dividing up his estate on his deathbed. He gave $25,000 to his friends and set aside another $5,000 as a reward for anyone who killed Casey.
That's great, but I mean, if you just shot a man and then you see him crawling over to a notary or like the lawyer of the town and be like, "See that man there? I want $5,000 for his head as my last will and testament." Surely you just finished the job.
Well, that is a very good point. Maybe he had it in his will beforehand. I'll give $5,000 to any man for the death of a man who kills me. Maybe he was he was expecting to be shot at some point. It sounds like in the town there's a very high likelihood of getting shot just by living there.
Boilerplate stuff, basically. It was when you turn 10, you get a gravestone for your birthday, and they just like etch in the date as applicable.
Well, yeah, they just put the date down, a little dash, and then pretty much they give you a range of 2 years. It'll probably be when he's either 20 or 21.
Yeah.
Now, one of the witnesses to the shooting was Jim Leavy, who, despite Casey's proclamations of innocence, said it was Casey that shot first. Casey challenged the miner to a duel, but without a gun on him, and still in his work gear, Leavy couldn't. So he said, "That's the only reason you've the balls to say anything to me, because you've a gun and I'm in my overalls." So Casey says, "Go get your gun and come a shooting."
I mean, that's...
So he does.
Okay.
That was actually... I think that I have that written down now in actual quotes.
Yeah.
I think that one might have been a quote.
That was verbatim, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's putting the old, "I'd love to do it, but I'm not wearing the right shoes." He's like, "Go back and get your
hold me back. Hold me back by my overalls.
But in fairness, so he has gone and got his gun. But then, if he's accusing Casey of shooting first,
Jimmy got his gun.
But surely Casey was meant to shoot first. It was his duel. I don't know if that's a crime.
It sounds like maybe they didn't have a duel and he just shot him.
Right. Yeah.
And then said, because that probably would be a way of getting out of, punishment back then. He's like, no, sure, we both agreed to a duel. It was like, well, why did you shoot him in the back? It's like, we never agreed to a fair duel.
That's a different story altogether.
Now,
also, but like if he was happy enough to pay him the £100, the interest was probably like $20 out of his 60 grand.
More than likely, but it's the respect, Kevin. It's the lack of honor about
You're
the
right.
whole deal.
You're right.
Yeah, and also he has a gun.
Yeah, that's fair as well.
So, but now Jimmy goes home, gets his gun, heads back to the last place he saw Casey. When he gets there, there's a fella called David Neagle, who's one of Casey's friends. So he sneaks around him,
right,
down the lane.
Wasn't very observant. Was he not eagle-eyed, no?
David Neagle-eyed Cherry.
He was as sharp as a hawk, they say.
He couldn't save tonight because he was too busy getting snuck around.
He had the ears of an eagle.
Leavy sneaks around him, surprises Casey. Gunfighting ensues. Holy shite. Leavy shoots him in the neck, dropping him to the ground. And he's on the ground, presumably clutching his now spouting neck. Leavy runs over to him, jumps on him, and pistol whips the feck out of him until he kills him.
Right.
Now, it was at this point, David Neagle...
he thought he said something.
Now who's eagle-eared? So, he does hear it. A few moments too late, runs down...
swoops in.
And shoots Leavy through the cheek, through both cheeks.
God.
Yeah, the face kind, not the opposite.
Not
This isn't the arseless chaps kind of cowboy.
No.
This is the getting shot in the face kind of cowboy.
Yeah.
Now he also shoots Neagle at the same time, clipping his skull.
Oh, clipping his skull.
Both men survive.
Oh.
Yeah, as is often the case with gunfights where both men get shot.
Yeah.
Both survive.
Up until a certain point, a gun wound was not a fatality. As it has become, it's come
Yeah,
back around
we
to that
just got
again.
a lot better at making guns.
Yeah, and then we got a lot better at medicine. There was only a period there for a while where like a gunshot was a proper death sentence. But I think at this time, you need to get shot a few times.
Yes, because I've seen it in enough films where you get shot in the stomach and someone goes, it's grand, he's got 4 months to live.
Yeah.
It's going to take so long to bleed out. And then I've seen other ones where someone gets shot in the finger and they're dead instantly. So I don't understand how human anatomy works. But seemingly the people of this town don't understand how criminality works, because neither of these men go to jail. They squash their beef. And Leavy actually gets the $5,000 for the murder. So fair play. Not only does he not go to jail, he gets the $5,000 of a reward.
Very good. Yeah, I suppose it's in a will. And what happened to Neagle? Is he the same guy? I heard, wasn't there an eagle that like headed across the border of Nevada over to California and then set up a hotel there?
Oh, well.
Which one of the Eagles had the Hotel California?
It's
a lovely place.
Such a lovely place.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got me there, and I hate you now for that, because there is reference later in this thing to other hotels and different stuff, and I was like, wait, has Kevin got this? No, he's just a really big fan of the Eagles.
I'm just a 40 to 50-year-old white American male.
But to continue the ha-has and the laugh, Kevin, now he's a horribly disfigured miner for the rest of his life.
Oh.
Well, he's disfigured for the rest of his life. He's not mining for the rest of his life.
No.
Yeah, and now he's a man who's won a gun battle and shot someone dead. So he ascends. He evolves at that stage to, he's a gunslinger now. So off he goes, traveling around Wyoming, Nevada, both of the Dakotas, Colorado, and a few other spots. I think his fame travels all across the West, as far east as St. Louis and Chicago. So about half the country.
His fame for what? Just getting shot in
shooting
the face?
People. No, he's a gunslinger now, so he's shooting people.
Oh, right, so he gets into it then, okay.
Yeah, you kill one man and all of a sudden you become a professional gambler and gunslinger.
Yeah, it comes with the territory.
Yeah, because he's got the taste of it now.
Yeah.
Well, no, he might have lost all sense of taste.
Yeah, he probably hasn't got
point.
much of a taste of anything anymore.
Yeah, but he does like the gambling and gunfighting.
Okay.
He seems to be pretty good at it. He makes a full career out of it. By this time now, I don't have a year on it, but he's been in at least 16 gunfights. Maybe more, but also still alive.
Yeah,
16 and all.
That is very good, considering we were pressed by 3 earlier on. Was one of the gunfights when he was gambling and some lad was like, "You're bluffing. You're talking out of the side of your mouth." And he took it the wrong way.
It was his poker face. The only thing is his poker face had a bunch of holes in it.
Yeah.
So obviously the first of those 16 fights was with Casey, but the next notable one in terms of chronology is when Leavy was drinking in a place called Shingle and Lock Saloon in Cheyenne, Wyoming. There's a lad called Charlie Harrison that makes a few untoward comments about another Irishman in the saloon, or maybe just about Irish people in general. But Leavy takes offence, says, "Let's go try kill one another." Again, not a
What
quote.
do you call us, bad-tempered? You drunken louts, are we? Come here, I'll shoot you in the street.
Always fighting when you're drunk, is it? Is that what you're saying? Come out onto the street now.
That old stereotype.
Yeah, so Leavy draws, but Harrison says he doesn't have a gun, so there's no point in sketching anything just yet.
Yeah, put the notepad down.
He says that he isn't healed, which, not with an A, double E, which I think is a terminology for I don't have my gun on me. So they agree to meet outside of Frenchie's saloon later on.
Oh, at dawn.
No, just later on.
At sundown.
Just later on. They don't give a time.
Right.
The Harrison was meant to, it was like going for pints before like text messages.
Yeah.
That time period, because who knows? I could be, if you leave your house at 7:00 expecting to be at a pub by 7:30. Delays. The Lewis. Wait, did we have phones when the Lewis was already out?
Oh yeah,
Maybe
the
not.
time the Lewis was around, we had phones. It was more, but like, sure, we were bad at timekeeping anyway before COVID. Now you have to be booked a month in advance, and you have your allotted time. Back then, you'd be like, "I'll see you tonight," between the hours of 6 and the other 6.
You said you were going to be in Berlin by 8. I thought you meant the city.
Yeah, I said a lot of things.
Now, Harrison was meant to be fairly handy with the pistol, and nobody knew about Levy's experience, which seems odd because he's meant to be famous. But again,
and he's got a hole in his face.
It's hard to be famous back then, but if you're a gunslinger with a hole in his face with an Irish accent, you probably should be recognised if you're that well known.
Yeah.
He needs to get better on social media, is his problem.
He hasn't got involved in new media yet.
Now, when it came to the time of the fighting, they exchanged a bunch of bullets, 7, I believe.
Before the shots.
I think it's 7 in total, not 7 each, because I assume there's 6 shooters. But so 7 shots in total. Don't know who got them all off. But one of Levy's caught Harrison square in the chest. And again, as past his prologue, Leavy runs up, but instead of pistol whipping him this time, shoots him in the stomach. He's growing, he's developing his skills. He doesn't need to get down and dirty.
I thought you were going to say Harrison walked off with the bullet in his chest to the nearest law office and had a will drafted up, pointing out the window at the man with the hole in his face.
So, sorry, Barrister Murphy won't be around for at least 2 weeks. That's fine. I'll just wait in the lobby. It's grand. We've got some time here.
Typical. I'll be out front.
Now Harrison dies a week later. Leavy again acquitted, as is that's the way of the time. I feel like it's not even fair saying murdered if both men agree to a fight and then one of them dies.
Yeah, it's before we got into this nanny state chasing where you could just agree with a man to shoot him.
Well, what's it called? A dual consent state or whatever it is. There's 2 men should be allowed to walk out there. If 2 men want to go have a gunfight, let them at it, because we're not losing a whole lot.
Yeah, it's not like it should be fine for 2 men to stand in the middle of a crowded street and fire off bullets at each other. It's good for business.
Well, it doesn't seem like it is, because he always gets arrested.
Legal business.
Every time he does it, he gets arrested, and then eventually he gets acquitted. So it just seems like it's one of those, the police see it. It's like when they see a provisional driver back home without, a full licensed driver beside them over the age of 25 with 3 years driving experience. They're looking at him going, this is an easy way for me to get up my arrest numbers, my figures. It's all statistics, Kev. That's what it is. So they're looking at him going, well, I can arrest this guy because he shot someone. Even though, you don't really need to. Don't be a dick about it. Everyone, let him away. How else is he going to get to school
but then it's the
without
same
shooting
as,
someone?
Drinking cans. Just don't be obvious about it. Come on. There's a bit of a grey area here. Don't be shooting lads in the middle of the street. Do it around the corner, for God's sake. I have to arrest you now. You're after shooting it in front of me.
I do remember being on the canal a few years ago during the summer when we'd all be drinking, but you'd hide it relatively well. Like, you'd always have a blanket or a jacket or something to throw over it, and he walked by and saw a bottle of wine that was open that one of the girls had, and he just looked and said, hide it better. Yeah. And then just kept walking. He's like, we're not gonna.
Yeah.
What can you do? That's one of those, like, if everyone would be shocked, because you're looking at why is there 7,000 picnic blankets, but also everyone has their own chair. Like, it's let us away with it. The canal is sacred. It belongs to the public. It belongs to the public and pints.
If people would just lift up the rubbish after them when they were done, there'd be no issue.
I know. Yeah, it's a crying shame, because it's my favorite thing to do. Drink illegal by the canal in Dublin. It's exactly what Patrick Kavanagh would have wanted.
That's
what he was saying. He was like, bury me by canal. He meant for pints.
Yeah.
So he keeps getting arrested and keeps getting let off. Eventually he finds his way to Tucson, Arizona. If you remember Don Hugo, he's gotten a reference before. Now at this stage he's killed
in Tucson, Arizona. I thought, is it? Oh no, am I thinking of Tombstone, Arizona?
You're thinking of Tombstone. Yeah, this is Tucson or Tuscan. This is where Don Hugo set up the military post that eventually became Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
Now So Leavy at this stage has killed around 20 fellas at least.
Right.
And so stop arresting him. You've not caught him. Like, it's been multiple states. He's shot 20 people. It's obvious.
Like it's legal. Caught him.
It's obviously legal.
Yeah,
it's clearly legal.
At this time, it's not even. They're not treating it as a crime.
Or else they're just very, very bad at their job or communicating. Because what if he's killed someone? They're like, okay, well, slap on the wrist for your first time, and then they let him go, and then they see it's like a usual suspects kind of thing. They just see, no, that was the guy all along. He's the guy who's been killing everyone. So now, Kevin, he then does end up in Tombstone.
Excellent.
1781.
Right.
Doc Holliday.
Is Levi about to skin some smoke wagons and see what happens?
Well, he's down there with Doc Holliday and Bat Matterson and Wyatt Earp and the boys. He actually knew a few of them, and they respected his shooting, thinking he was one of the best around. He actually had some business dealings, ventures, but with the boys. Don't know what they were, but they were definitely in touch. So in 1882, he'd run into saloon owner John Murphy. Leavy got into it with one of Murphy's Faro dealers. Faro's a card game, Kevin. I don't know if I'd never heard of it.
No.
But
right. So he's a Faro dealer, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he dealt in Faros.
Like wigs?
Yeah, it was some sort of the fur trade. So when you say he ran into John Murphy, he had a fight with him.
Well, yeah. He met him in a saloon. Now, I'll tell you, the only information I have about Faro is it's the king of all Old West gambling games. That's the last thing I looked into it. But I don't like gambling. I don't like cards unless we can get a sponsorship with Paddy Power or Betfair or anyone who would be willing to allow me to sell out my morals for
then
monetary gain. Oh, for sure. But now, this Murphy fella, John, he was born in Ireland in 1847.
No way. You're telling me that John Murphy was a paddy as well?
He was, and that's why I'm pretty sure Casey wasn't, because it definitely would have been referenced. But he moved over, young enough, over to America. Now, Leavy came into the saloon, pissed, got even more drunk, lost £100 firstly, and his temper secondly. He accused the dealer, William Moyer, of cheating. He wasn't happy with this, nor Murphy was, so Leavy was told to clear off, but returned later with a friend and claimed he never called Moyer a cheat at all. Just came back to the same pub he'd been barred from an hour or two beforehand going, what are you talking about? What? No.
Huh? No, that wasn't me.
Just deny.
That must have been another man with a hole in his face.
That's the 1880s equivalent of being rejected from the nightclub, so you go back and switch out the jumper with a friend, and then you try have another go.
Swap jumpers and make another move. But it also seems like maybe this has been his legal defense all along, every time he gets arrested for shooting someone. What? No, that wasn't me. Never happened.
It could be. I mean, there's no way to prove it.
And they're like, well, we've got no evidence. Let me just turn to the photograph. Oh, wait, no. DNA, finger, well, you're free to go.
No, they were, well, you're right, Kev, because he definitely wouldn't care about, like, this. The police are in all of these towns. They're in all the saloons. I imagine they're drinking just as heavily. So it's not, and even there was some police around at this time, and they were worried about a fight breaking out between the pair. So they had to jump in and intervene. But Leavy was supposedly said to have told Murphy that nothing but a fight would do him, and would promise to waltz on their layout and shoot their cheeks from the table. Sorry, shoot their checks from the table. Or cheeks from the table. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
But
yeah, it was a sore point for him, I suppose.
Maybe he thought that's what it was. You're like,
you want one of these?
He then told Murphy he was going to the Mexican line and they would fight across the wagon track. Murphy said, grand, so see you down there.
You're saying a lot of things here. So, sorry, he's in Arizona now, is he? Which, did that border New Mexico, is it? But no, was New Mexico on the go then?
I'm going to say yes. But also, Arizona touches Mexico, Kevin.
Okay, right. It touches Mexico original.
Yeah. So, now Leavy didn't have money, so had to go borrow money for a gun and a wagon and a team. which makes me think he wasn't doing all that well. And
No, when you said he hadn't got money, I was like, yeah, all right, fair enough. He's a tough gunslinger. He didn't have a gun. That seems unreasonable. What's he been doing this whole time? That's like his whole thing.
But it could be also great tactic if everyone, because up until now, everyone's respected this whole, I'm not healed, so I don't have a gun, so you can't do anything. It's like punching a man with glasses. So
Yeah.
maybe Levy's just only fighting the lads who he reckons he can beat.
Well, yeah.
He's only picking on the few and far between. He's like, that guy's never held a gun in his life before. I, sir, challenge you to a duel.
He's killed 20 men, but you left out the fact that none of them had ever seen a gun before.
Yeah, they were all children. They had water pistols, and he was there. He's a 6-shooter. So he has to go and get, obviously, right. So again, he has to get the money for the gun, the wagon, his team, which is always going to be it's going to be pretty expensive.
His team?
And he's willing,
for what?
yeah, hold a team, I suppose, to bring him down and then hype man him up. You know, like how I employ you on this podcast to
Of
keep my
course.
confidence levels raised.
In this corner, straight out of Pontine, Nevada, the scourge of Dublin City, coming in at 20 KNO, it's old hole in his face, Jim Leavy.
So yeah, he spent a lot of money on this duel, and money he didn't have. So he's obviously willing to risk a lot of money, but he's also willing to risk his life. So, and now that I'm saying that, that's it. You're probably not too worried. You're like, if you're going to be willing to go for a gunfight,
Yeah.
you're like, oh well, worst case, if I lose, I die. If I win, I owe a heap of money. He's not thinking any of this true.
No, but like, what are they going to do if I don't pay the money back? Kill me? I'm going to go get shot at now anyway.
He'd probably have to apologize, and that's worse at the time, Kev, than dying. So he tells the owner of the El Dorado, the saloon he'd been to borrow everything from, he told him he was going to make the sons of bitches fight or he'd kill them all. So he had all he needed.
Seemed like he was going to kill them all anyway.
It seems like that's his
I'm
main
going to
thing.
kill them all, or else I'll kill them all.
Kill them all, or I'll sort them out by killing them all.
Yeah.
But he also now had all he needed, including a ride down to the border for the next morning. So he's doubling down. He could have backed out at any point, but not a chance. In for a penny, in for a gunfight on the Mexican border.
So is this to get around the laws that you fight on the Mexican border? Are you out of American jurisdiction, or is it like whoever wins is an easy escape route? They're like out of the country straight away.
Probably the easy escape route, and also it's like any fighter who's going into a big bout, Kev. You need the party, the release afterwards, and so I assume that's why he's heading down to Mexico to celebrate. Now the tensions are building. An Irish gunfight on the Mexican.
I don't know, Jason. The Irish, the Jews, and the Mexicans fighting each other. It's like a wasp dream.
It is actually, yeah. What have they done? They've used their mass media to turn us all against each other, so we don't look at the bigger problem. But with tensions building, and obviously, I should have said, Murphy would have known about Levy's ability with a gun, probably because he was also Irish, and I assume it goes around. Like, you know,
I guess
you'd be more likely to hear about the Irish gunfighter and remember him if you were Irish. And also, if he had a big hole in his face, you'd put the two and two together.
You would. And, you know, we support our own once they're doing well.
Especially once they're doing well in another country.
Oh, yeah. Now, the second they make a slip, you're like, he shouldn't have been going around shooting people in the face anyway. I always thought that was wrong.
It was grand at the time, but at the back of it, it came from bad intentions.
When he was winning, it was fine.
I didn't necessarily agree with all of his actions. I just thought it was great to have a famous Irish person out there, someone for all of us to look up to see what hard work and dedication can really bring you in the life of being scum.
I know he seems like a bit of a scumbag, but it's all an act. It's all these 17 different incidences that have happened over the years. It's all for show. It's just for the cameras.
Can't a man make a single solid 17? Can a man just not kill a bunch of people and be seen as a hero? But as I was saying there, that Murphy would have been aware of Levy's ability, so he wasn't going to risk an actual battle. Not a chance. So he and two friends, Moyer and another gambling fella called Dave Gibson, they go down to the Palace Hotel where Leavy was staying. They ambushed him. He screams, "My God, do not shoot. I am not healed." So, as is the case, as always in the West, Kev, they shot him to bits. That's what it was. It's the one time in the story that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
They shoot him a bunch of times. His last words being, "My God, Has it come to this? He was a big fan of the streets.
I was going to say it would have been weird if they ambushed him and then let him get his gun. That'd sort of defeat the purpose, I suppose.
I said yes, I suppose. Now
this is an honourable ambush.
Do you have a guess of his age?
Oh, I should know this because you told me what year he was born, but I can't remember. He's probably 26, 27.
No, he's 40, so he's in fairness for the time period and the profession, he's done very well.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably as good as you could expect.
But now he's dead, so that's the Leavy part of this story gone.
Right.
We're on to Murphy. But Leavy's murderers all surrender then and there. So
to who?
To the local townspeople and the police, I imagine, considering they just ambushed a man in the streets and then shot him, even though he was like, please don't do that. And they were like, no, we're going to do it anyway.
Fair.
So they go along, held captive for a few days, but then mysteriously manage to escape the prison. There's talk of the Liberal government doing this to screw the Republican sheriff. Or whatever.
It's good to see that the deep-rooted divides in American system now. The Liberals did it to screw over the Republicans.
No, it was Republicans staging themselves as Liberals to try and feck over the Republicans.
It was a black flag event. If only they'd put more money into the prison system. We should invent some sort of private prison system. That'll sort it out.
But either way, I guess they never found out what political party was behind letting them escape. But it doesn't really matter because they're caught again in different places this time, though. I think there's 2 of them out in California living under fake names. And then, I don't know, another thing I read said they were found in the mountains not too far away and then brought back. So, not fully sure. But
yeah,
it was
either in the mountains or in California.
Yeah, and California is only the mountains away, sure. So it's not so bad. But a local paper said of the jailbreak at the time, a bold and successful break for liberty by desperate criminals, which is every jailbreak really, but also
pretty much.
Don't be proliferating. Don't be telling them that this is a good thing. Like it should say hardened criminals or murderers on the loose, not fair play to the boys.
It's a beautiful tale. These 3 men who shot down an unarmed man in a hotel room, they've broken free, showing a lot of moxie and gumption.
Chutzpah. But I guess, again, it doesn't matter where they were caught because Murphy and Gibson get off scot-free. The other fella, life in jail, or to be precise, 99 years. Because there was a sheriff from another county.
Why did they just draw lots for that or something? We only have enough space for one of you, so someone's going to have to do maximum time and the other 2 can go away.
There was a sheriff from another county or state or something waiting at the trial in case he didn't go down. He had him up for murder, a different murder from a few years ago, so this lad was already kind of wanted. So he shouldn't have been he shouldn't have been doing more. Oh, well, actually, no, you're an outlaw and it's the Wild West.
Yeah.
What's the likelihood? What are the chances of the same policeman who knows you being at the trial?
I'm shocked that they went to California and they had new names. Like, how did they ever get caught?
Or they caught him in the mountains right beside the place.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, yeah.
It could have just been...
They were just screaming, it was a liberal scam. It was the Democrats. No, Unhand me, Yankee.
It's the newspaper just giving fake headlines again. They didn't want to seem stupid and write a retraction saying, what a bold and successful jailbreak, and then only to have the lads caught 20 minutes later. They were like, they made it all the way to California in 2 minutes. But sure, again, with almost all of the information I give you, I have to change it then about a minute after, because 99 years, not a hope. Think in real life nowadays, Kevin, you get sent down for, say, 9 years. How much of it do you expect to actually spend in jail? How much do you expect to serve?
Yeah, I'd say probably 2 or 3.
Yeah, well, so this 99 gets squashed down to 4 or 5 years. And he's pardoned and released.
They want to seem tough on criminals, but then that's different than, being tough. The judge said he was going to give them the maximum sentence and then massively reduce it.
But the fact that they got away with it seems a bit mad, because I know it's not legal, but they had agreed. I know it seems relatively legal to just shoot people and be acquitted, and you get acquitted at the time. That's just normal. But
there's still rules to this thing.
Well, I don't think there is actually.
You can't shoot an unhealed man.
I think you can.
Well, obviously you can, but you shouldn't.
They just did it. You
Yeah,
shouldn't. But that's you're talking about the like the theory of moral sentiments, and it's only frowned upon if you care about what the other people think of you. Do you know? Like
Yeah,
most people wouldn't shoot an unarmed man because, well, people will think I'm not particularly sound. But if you can get your headspace past that mindset of going like, oh, I don't care what other people think of me, then morality changes 100%. It flips on a coin.
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter anymore. You're not behested like the social contract of what. I'm getting too much into it. I've read too many books lately in lockdown. I'm getting dick jokes and shit, Kev. But yeah, no respect for the rules of the gunslinging game at the time.
Yeah,
everyone else, you can't be shooting an unhealed man, but obviously you can because they get away with it. Despite the fact that 42 witnesses claimed to see the trio fire on an unarmed man, but before doing so, all yelled, "Here is our game," before riddling him full of bullets.
That's pretty open and shut.
Pretty much, yeah. And then Gibson walks up to him after he falls on the ground and shoots him on the ground a few times before walking away saying, "There lays the son of a bitch. He is dead." Which
It's overkill. There he is, laying dead. His name's John Leavy, and my name's John Murphy. That's Jon, not John, if you want to jot that down. And I just killed the son of a bitch. Woo-wee! Now I'm off to let my guard down. I'll see you all later, fellas.
Well, he actually did have a quote for it, but it came upon his acquittal. He'd said, "Your Honour..."
Fuck the law.
Fuck the police. He'd said, "Your Honour, I thank you and the jury, but I desire to say that I have lived all my life on the frontier. I was honourably discharged from the Navy when a young man on the coast of Florida and came right through the frontier. I have been amongst rough men all my life, have stopped many a bad fight, and never before been in any trouble. I regret this occurrence, but what I did was done by me conscientiously, and with the belief that it was all I could do to save my own life, and it was done in self-defence."
Yeah. I mean, that's just premeditated murder.
But if he knew how good... Now, it's a ridiculous defence statement, but allow me to put on my lawyer hat.
Like, lawyers famously wear hats, yeah.
He's not wrong. Everything he said's true. As long as you take in the fact that Leavy is probably a way better gunslinger than him, so he is going to kill him. So he's like, well, I've agreed to this now. There's no way I could not agree to the gunfight, so I'm going to do that. That's fine.
But I'm just going to change
but instead of doing
the parameters.
Just going to change the rules and go shoot him now instead.
It's still
because obviously it's not illegal. No one gives a shit anymore. So it is self-defense because he's like, if I don't do it, he's going to kill me.
Because of this thing I agreed to do with him.
Yeah. So it's not a good defense.
But it works.
It seemingly. Or also, he said this upon his acquittal, so he didn't have to say all of this.
Yes, I murdered him, and yes, I had forethought of it. I went there with the intention of murdering him. It was premeditated, but, I wanted to do it.
These things happen.
Thanks very much, jury.
Now, Murphy, at that point, would once again take his place as a well-known man in the gambling scene in Arizona. Between this place and then Bisbee, the town of Doug Stanhope. He lives there now. He's like the mayor of Bisbee. But he died in 1926 and was buried in Tucson in an unmarked grave. A DA and deputy sheriff of the county the trials were held in, Pima County, was years later quoted as saying, "Jim Leavy had more sand in one of his fingers than the 3 yellow streaked curs had in their 3 bodies combined. Given even half a show, Jim Leavy would have cleaned up the 3 at one and the same time if the cowardly curs had attempted to face the music." Which is, if that's the case and that's what like the lawmen are saying that, I'd be like, yeah, I'd shoot him in cold blood then as well.
Well, you can see now why we broke into his room and killed him before he had the chance. But he had more sand
outside the hotel, Kev. They did not break into a hotel room, because you probably would have went to jail for that, because that's breaking and entering. But shooting a man in cold blood, that's a different story. That's a different story.
Yeah. But so what? He has more sand in one finger than the other 3 have in their whole body. Is that a good thing? He's full of sand.
I think so. I think maybe it's the West, so they're like, this is I don't know. It's like saying I have more talent in me baby finger than that fella in his whole body, but they're saying,
right, but they're like, what do we really respect? Sand.
Yeah, he embodies the Wild West. Sand.
Yeah.
So his death certificate lists his occupation as a miner, yet an obituary in the Arizona Republican 2 days after his death called Murphy a pioneer gambler and a picturesque character of Tucson's wide-open gambling days.
It's a good legacy.
Now that I've said that, I'm not sure if that was Murphy or Leavy that was said about, but sure, I'm going to say it was Leavy because there was no account of Murphy ever being a miner, so there we go.
I thought you said Leavy was 40, though.
He was, but it was, I have no comeback.
You don't need one. That's a great joke all in itself.
But as skilled as you are as making quick jokes, Kev, as such was Leavy skilled as a gunslinger. That so much so that men like Wyatt Earp and Bat Matterson would tip their pistols at him. Which I like the fact that if gunslingers tip their pistols instead of hats.
Yeah, that seems like a really easy way to accidentally shoot someone. And that's
or
the
yourself.
Second time you said Bat Matterson, and I keep thinking you're going to say Batman. He was hanging out in Tombstone with Wyatt Earp and Batman.
And a man called Albert who'd travelled over from the UK. Now he was so obviously Earp and Matterson knew about him and said he was very good, and they'd be well versed in guns and such themselves. He was also included in a book about the top 12 most underrated or forgotten gunslingers in the West, which sounds like a pretty hipster book to be fair. Like that's you don't like your mainstream gunslingers of the West. No, I like to go off the beaten track. I want that avant-garde gunslinger. Also 12. That means it's the same as any listicle that you see. I'm in the top 67 comedians of the world. You're number 67, aren't you? Or else you would have said top 100.
Yeah, the top, 12 is a natural cutoff point for these things. It was 12 apostles, 12 months in a year, 12 excellent cowboys that you haven't heard of. I'm not into, who are the famous cowboys? Are there other cowboys that haven't been forgotten to history?
There's so many famous cowboys. Also, that book probably came out about 100 years ago.
Yeah.
They were like, remember the 12 people we've forgotten about from 20 years ago? Yeah, let's give them a book.
I'm pretty sure the real forgotten cowboys are all the African American slaves who entered into when they became free men who turned to cowboying, or the Irish immigrants that went out and did it. Whenever it became a subject of films in the 30s and 40s, it was all square-jawed American men. But if you think it who the job was basically standing around herding cattle, who would have been sent out to do that job? It wouldn't be fucking Clint Eastwood. It would be the newly emigrated Irish Jewish man.
It'd be a man from Dublin whose head has now turned the colour of the inside of a dog's penis. That's the those are the real cowboys. But yeah, no, I think that's the story of Leavy and Murphy, the fastest guns in the West. Well, Murphy's not the fastest. He's just quick-witted or quick. He's quick to the
murder
cheating.
scene.
Yeah. That's good. It came natural to him
because of his dirty Irish blood. He had a proclivity for fighting and cheating. He couldn't even cheat straight. You can actually, if you want to go Google it, we'll put it on the Instagram page, but there's a picture of a Faro game with Murphy in it from the saloon that's still on the internet. So we'll put that out because I don't think we can find a Jim Leavy picture. Oh, that's cool. I like how you said it was still on the internet as if it's going to be removed anytime soon.
Yeah, I know. It's
still up there, but you better get to it quick before the Tuscan police find out about it.
Well, it was an unexpected diversion because I assume people thought I was going to say, and to this day it's still in that bar. And no, it's not. It's just still on the internet because everything lives forever there.
Well, that was now he won't be forgotten anymore. Old Jim Levi, whose name I haven't forgotten.
But so that's our Western story for this year. I'll probably leave you on this actually. The main takeaway from this story was a man called Richard Moriarty, a.k.a. Morgan Courtney. Feared by some, respected by few, destroyed by others, shot in the back 5 times from ambush. Shafter, good luck. Chat to you next week.
Good luck.